Blockchain panelists at SMC3 talk current use cases, regulation, and crypto. JD.com opens up an automated warehouse that employs just 4 people, but fulfills 200,000 packages daily. Amazon unveils plans to ramp up delivery services for their own packages. Volvo Trucks and FedEx demonstrate platooning technology in North Carolina. And NFI and Penske are trialing Freightliner electric trucks. I'm JP.
And I'm Chad.
And we talk about all these issues and more on this week's episode of What the Truck.
Well, hey there.
What's up, dude?
Are you gonna tell me what you're drinking there?
I'll have you know that Bell's Two-Hearted Ale just won American Homebrewer Association's best beer in America contest based solely on reader submitted favorite beers.
So you're saying it wasn't just some arbitrary thing
well, I'm also saying
this is the greatest guitarist in the world.
Right.
It's not like that.
No,
it's not, somebody just didn't decide it.
No, it's basically just
it's fan based.
The favorite beer of homebrewers.
No, it's of homebrewers.
Yeah. It's the American Homebrewer Association's magazine that did the contest.
Here's the thing. I love it too. Bell's Two-Hearted. Shout out to Bell's Two-Hearted. One of the things about them is how do they blend that almost it's a semi-sweet dry body, the malt body. Yeah. But how did they get so much traction with the Centennial hops?
I don't know.
I mean, they say that they're only brewed with Centennial hops. That's really
you haven't been able to get that
one-note wonder.
You haven't been able to get that flavor profile out of Centennial hops.
No, what I'm wondering is why aren't other hops maybe more popular in this case? How come the best beer is made out of with just one? I mean, maybe it's a lesson for beer.
Yeah.
For beer. It's interesting to think about. It is a great beer,
citrus,
number 1 in the world.
It's floral. They don't hit you over the head with
that's true.
IBUs.
It's very drinkable. Let's see. I am drinking Narragansett. Which is a great value. I want to say, if you're just looking for a value buy, it was $5.69 for a 6-pack of Tall Boys, and they're red, white, and blue, and it tastes just pretty much to me about like Miller, only its own thing. It's its own thing.
Yeah,
but it's similar. It's more similar to that than Bud on the continuum.
It's a pilsner.
It is, and it's very good, and I just have to say that in the American spirit, in the New York spirit, in the Pawtucket River spirit of things, and it says "Hi, neighbor" on it. And for all of that, it's friendly,
very American,
and it's delicious. Glad to be here with you today on a week with a lot of headlines. JP,
hi neighbor,
and hey, and you just came from the exciting SMC3 conference where you covered a lot of things. But tell us about one of the really fun things that you experienced while there and covered.
Yeah, this was the Connections 2018 conference at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. It was really cool. It's sort of this old resort in southern West Virginia, in this very sort of unspoiled country.
How nice!
Little cow pastures and things like that. But it's a very large, early 20th century, grand hotel.
And I lived in Morgantown, West Virginia. Mm-hmm. When I was 4 and 5, back in 77. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you were there, and not there in Morgantown.
No, I was at the Greenbrier on Monday.
Okay.
And so Craig Fuller, FreightWaves CEO and BIDA managing director, was moderating this panel on blockchain, sort of about practical industry use cases for blockchain in transportation and logistics. And he had kind of a a sort of roster of heavy hitters who were participating in the discussion.
It sounded like an exciting discussion.
I think Stephen Rogers, who basically runs blockchain at IBM's supply chain, was on the panel.
Yep.
Brian Glick, the CEO of Chain.io.
That's right.
And Austin Mills, who's actually a crypto lawyer. He's the chair of the blockchain and cryptocurrency practice group at Morris Manning and Martin. So it was really cool. There's a bunch of like different, it was like an incumbent, a blockchain startup,
right,
and like a regulatory, like a legal dude.
Interesting. And the balance of that lent itself to the discussion.
Yeah, there were some really kind of interesting differences of opinion, but also, it even seemed like the panelists are almost learning from each other.
Yeah, it sounded like a sincere discussion.
Yeah,
that's what I got from reading your article.
And Craig opened the conversation with this really kind of interesting metaphor about blockchain and kind of explaining blockchain and what it is, and not necessarily the details of the technology, but sort of the principles that it represents.
Yeah,
that's what he said. He said, blockchain is the DNA of data. It's very difficult to alter or fake. There's a long lineage that can't be changed. New blocks on the chain, almost like children, retain a link to history, to their parents' DNA.
Wow.
Many copies make information resilient to attacks on single cells. Almost like the body, if there's a mutation in one cell, the other cells shut it down. And it contains built-in code that can self-execute.
Wow. That is a great definition.
Isn't that cool?
It really is. The DNA. The DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hadn't heard that analogy before.
And what was interesting too about it was I was kind of surprised by this because Stephen Rogers seemed like this, big shot at IBM. This guy who was running these major projects. We're talking about like Hyperledger, which is the IBM blockchain platform. But what I was impressed by what he said is that the underlying technology doesn't matter. He was like, you can tell how early days blockchain still is because of how much people still talk about the underlying technology. He's like, when you wake up, and you got on your smartphone and you wanted to like check your email, you didn't say, oh man, I need to refresh my memory on TCP/IP protocols and, like how email works and blah, blah. Like,
no.
You just do it automatically. And he said that like for the truly successful consumer applications and even business to business applications and the winners in this space, it's those sorts of projects are going to hide the technology. Like it'll almost be like you won't
gives it like a back end.
You won't even know you're on the blockchain.
Right.
You won't have to know or care.
I've come across that as well. Yeah, that's another thing I liked about the article what Brian Glick had to say, where at the where he was asked, who will be the winners and losers of blockchain, yeah. And he had kind of a little bit of a different take than some of what I've heard. He said, I don't subscribe to the idea that it's going to change everything and in 10 years it's going to be upside down. But first movers are not always winners, and you don't want to be the last mover or the stick in the mud who lets down your clients.
Yeah,
people in the middle, and this is interesting, are going to be okay. People on the front end might win a very big bet, and people in the back are going to lose out. That sounded like, as you wrote, a pragmatic response.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one reason, blockchain by its inherent nature encourages and sort of requires collaboration. But I think this is sort of an added bonus because you're sort of disincentivized from trying to go it alone, build your own thing that's going to beat everyone else. And you can mitigate the risk of being on the bleeding edge of a technology, dumping tons of money into something that isn't necessarily going to be commercially viable.
Yeah.
Like
you have to achieve scale,
and you have you have to work with partners, and you can all kind of move down the line together.
Whoa! And on that note, there are so many other great stories to cover this week. We have the JD. I just found this really into the JD.com opening this, just openly, just on the outskirts of Shanghai. They're employing. They just say we're going to employ about 4 people, but we will fulfill 200,000 packages a day.
So this is so for those of you who don't know, JD.com is basically the second largest e-commerce merchant in China.
Not as big as Alibaba.
Not as big as Alibaba, but comparable to Amazon.
And here's an interesting fact about their dramatic growth that's been happening through warehousing. They've been in this perpetual state of warehousing. That has increased year over year. From Q1 of 2017, it had 5.8 million square meters of warehousing space.
Oh, just JD.com did?
Yes. Yeah. And now it's 10.9. In Q1, it might be even more now, 10.9 million square meters. And as Vishnu points out, a staggering 85% increase year over year.
That's crazy,
isn't it?
That's and if you look at the numbers for Amazon in the U.S., it's very similar. It really, it was growing quite quickly, but then in 2015 or over 14, 16 over 15, it really just, there's an inflection point.
Wow,
it just goes straight up.
Wow, it's amazing. It's there. They seem to be following the model of like a Jeff Bezos, though, in this way of just basically saying, "Hey, we're not worried right now that we're not bringing in as much money as like our big competitor Alibaba. We're scaling right now. It's all about the scale, right? And that's one of the themes of thinking about technology is probably for this week is probably achieving scale is one of the things you got to do.
Definitely, definitely, because scale is what makes you money. Right, your first 10 customers are not going to pay for all the R&D and the product development and the engineering for your product. You have to get. It's going to be the 20,000th user to the 50,000th user that actually makes you a profit.
I think it's got to be, and it's fascinating. While there is going to be this transitionary period, and it probably will in the short term put some people out of jobs. Let's be realistic about it. But it will also, as they assured them, and as we, I think, believe and understand it, there will be new jobs replaced. Eventually you'll have jobs to automate the progress. It's not just lost jobs.
No, it's different kinds of jobs.
And a lot of these things that these robots do, they're redundant human tasks. Humans don't want to do them
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is progress for the scale, achieving the scale.
Paradoxically, warehousing employment in the U.S. has grown so much faster than, for example, trucking or even retail. We were just looking at these new employment indexes in Sonar the other day, and it's crazy. Even though warehousing and inventory management, all of those little robots and pickers and stuff like that are being automated at a much more rapid pace than actual transportation. They're still growing the numbers of jobs really fast. So I'm still trying to I think there probably needs to be work done from the media to really put those two stories together and kind of reconcile those trends.
Deep thoughts. Yes, and it's like supply chain thinking. You got to put together a lot of pieces. I dig that. It reminds me, speaking of logistics, of our next story, and also of the biggest American company doing the e-commerce thing, Amazon. This is to me one of the not more interesting, but just I'm really wow today with the story.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
It seems like it. And they're ramping up this delivery service for their own packages. It's different, much different from the Amazon Flex program. This is just check this. When I came across this, I was like, really, if this is true, this is really interesting. For a minimum investment of $10,000, individuals in this program with Amazon can lease up to 40 Amazon branded delivery vehicles to deliver packages, and they'll provide all these things. But basically and then they say a 40 vehicle fleet could earn up to $300,000 per year under this new program. If that be true, that's kind of compelling. Like if that's really, this is a model that they're putting out there. And you know what else they're saying is what? This is like, don't worry USPS, don't worry partners, don't worry UPS, everybody. Like this is going to work out for everyone because there's more than enough space to be had.
Interesting.
What do you think? What do you think about their argument? What do you think about their program?
The program sounds genius. They're there on UPS and USPS is,
right.
I think, a little disingenuous.
We're not trying to take you over.
It's like, right. Like when Genghis Khan says, like, oh, those archers on the hill, that's not for your village.
That's protection.
Yeah.
That's because there's enough for everyone. Anyway, all right. Well, I find this a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, no.
Details to be
it's we talk about last mile challenges all the time. We talk about the problematic and sort of almost codependent relationship between Amazon and the U.S. Postal Service. And so this is it's an obvious play for Amazon to do to try to get other kinds of last mile capacity.
It seems smart,
build it
doesn't
out,
it?
Hedge their bets and see if they can, what if the Trump administration spins off the Postal Service and privatizes it?
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Yeah. You know what?
So there's a little bit of political risk to
a lot of risk.
Just relying on the post office.
Oh, of that. Yeah. I thought just this program, for as smart as it sounds like a risk. They don't know how it's going to go. It sounds like it could be good, but can they really deliver on this? All these people doing all these things and it being run efficiently, and they're making $300,000.
It's interesting that they're investing in it and they're experimenting with it years probably before it's actually needed, right? And so they want to be
getting way ahead of it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on here.
A lot is going to be changing. It's part of the theme of our podcast today. It is. It's kind of been an exciting week. It's exciting times in general. What you mentioned when you read the headlines, you mentioned this piece that our new staff writer
Ashley Coker
has written for us. Shout out to Ashley.
What's up, Ashley?
And anyway, it's Volvo Trucks and FedEx demo platooning in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So what's up with this kind of this ongoing automation thing in the industry?
Yeah. So earlier this week, Ashley was out in Raleigh.
Got a lot of friends there. Love Raleigh.
On a North Carolina state highway where Volvo and FedEx have been partnering together for a number of weeks with the North Carolina Turnpike Authority.
Exactly. Another
sort of like a state
business that they're having to work with.
No, it's like a
partnership.
I think it's like a state agency that's somehow in charge of turnpikes as opposed to the regular Department of Transportation. I don't really know.
Right.
But in any case, they've been doing these platooning tests on this highway. They had about 18 miles that the state of North Carolina said that they could sort of run their tests in.
Seems limited, but thank you for the 18 miles.
And they had some some exits and some different sorts of roadways to maneuver through. And cool enough, Ashley actually got to ride in.
Oh, really?
A truck while it was in platooning mode.
Well, fun. Actually, we need to hear about that.
They got to demonstrate all these different things. I think 2 points that Volvo and FedEx were especially proud of was that they were able to smoothly and sort of flawlessly demonstrate 3 truck platoons. So not just one truck following another, but 3 truck platoons.
Thank goodness. Now we're doing 3.
But
it's progress.
It's progress, but I mean,
but it's cool.
This isn't just like a test track. Like I I said that the state gave them 18 miles of this road, but it was live traffic. Like it wasn't like blocked off.
Right.
So it was like,
good point.
Like they were coming
to clarify.
They were doing this test like with like people like you're driving down the road, right?
And it's not like this is probably what we would have defined as like level 2. Like this is like cruise control. This is level 2 autonomous, as we were defining it in a few podcasts ago. They're using cooperative, adaptive cruise control.
Yeah, well,
and
that might be like a level 2.5. The way that the trucks themselves are communicating with each other.
You want to give them more credit?
Yeah, so
this level 2.
I do because like I think when the first truck brakes, the second truck automatically they all brake at the same time. In other words, it's not one reacting.
No,
to
and
the
that
other
is the other.
down.
Yeah, there's 2 parts to it, right? The other part is the Volvo's V2V technology, what they're calling dedicated short range communication. So between those 2 things, it all works.
Yeah,
but you're calling that level 2.5. You're creating your whole new.
Well,
category.
maybe it's not an advance in autonomy. It is. It's an advance in connectivity, maybe. Which maybe. Is just as important. It's kind of establishing that like spinal cord of information flow through the platoon.
I like that spinal cord. Wow.
Yeah, and the other thing that they were really proud of was the fact that like, so if there's a truck platooning behind another truck, the following truck is locked onto the leading truck, maintaining a certain distance, braking, accelerating with that truck. Even if another passenger car like cuts in between them, it doesn't break the system.
And that is a good point to
adjust the following distance to be safe. But it maintains a connection, and that's that
V2V technology.
And they try to get around that car and then get back up to their optimum following distance.
That's cool to see, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know who wouldn't kind of dig that. I think that's
pretty... and we've talked a little bit about how like there's plenty of platooning trials going on.
We did.
This one, I almost kind of expected them to advertise a little bit of like lane assist or even like automated like lane shifting, which they kind of didn't really do. They kind of like shied away from that, saying that like the driver had to steer the truck at all times, things like that.
No, it seemed cool. It seemed like this was Volvo, right? Like on the cusp of changes for the past 35 years.
Right.
FedEx working together, and then the fact that they did partner with a state that was open to it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big deals here is that another state has opened itself up to like sort of commercial vehicle autonomous testing.
And it seems like progress.
We already knew that like states like Colorado and Arizona were friendlies, but now North Carolina is also seems to be trying to create a favorable climate for that kind of experimentation.
Yeah, exactly. And along those very same lines, we even covered NFI and Penske announcing their trial of the Freightliners of their electric vehicles.
Yeah, the e-Cascadia.
Maybe some positive news. The what?
The e-Cascadia.
Oh, the e-Cascadia.
Yeah.
I thought you were like the electric vehicle mania is what I thought you were saying.
Same thing.
So it's the Cascadia.
The e-Cascadia and the EM2, just I think the medium duty truck. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, Daimler is saying that they're basically sold out of these trucks for the year. We already know that there's like a huge back order for new truck orders in general, but it's pretty cool that so NFI, I believe, is owned by XPO. I'm pretty sure that they were acquired by XPO. They do a lot of drayage stuff. And stuff in like the ports, like in Southern California. And so it's a lot of short haul. It's a lot of stop and start in traffic, a lot of waiting. Like
a lot of wear and tear.
God, it's not
stop and go.
It's stop and go.
Last mile. challenges.
Well, it's basically like, yeah, this used to be where old trucks went to die. Like where if you'd worn out an over the road truck going back and forth across the country, eventually it would end up as one of these like port drayage trucks, that are just going on these little like 20-mile runs from the port to the DC or the warehouse.
Okay.
It's a lot of stop and start, and it's horribly inefficient. These are old trucks. They pollute a lot in the Los Angeles and Long Beach air basin.
Wow.
All those fumes pile up.
Didn't know that.
Horrible.
That's great color commentary on like what's happening.
Yeah. So NFI is getting basically these e-Cascadias to use in their port operations, as is my suspicion. And
well, yeah, and they can probably work that way, right?
Yeah,
They're probably better for that.
Yeah, short haul.
Thor is trying to demonstrate.
Short haul, lots of
the
idling,
long
lots of
haul
start
over
and
the
stop.
road. Yeah. Well, we wish them well and hope that the partnership works out. Wow, that was a lot to cover. I'm exhausted. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're okay. Maybe I'm just the only one that's exhausted. No, we have. It's time to play Big Deal, Little Deal. What's the deal with you, JP?
Okay.
What is the deal with you today?
So, and we have to say that we're continuing the 8-topic enhanced Big Deal, Little Deal.
Yeah, it even crossed my mind today.
The stakes
JP,
have been raised.
To raise it to 10.
What?
It crossed my mind. I'm flirting with the idea.
You're insane.
I know. That's what
You crazy man.
Thank you. I mean, no, I'm not doing it. No, it's.
We're only like batting 500 so far on the two.
Here, well, okay. This is what we're gonna do. We are going to begin with me asking you the headlines. Now, no, I think that we missed the first one of the 8 for 8, and then we get it this past week, Barry. I'm getting the nod of his sense.
Yes, we did.
Okay. He's looking a little impatient. Like, get on with the 2 minutes. Okay, we got it. All right, so JP, are you ready to play?
I am ready.
Ready or not, here we come. New home sales surge, boosting demand for future construction, freight, big deal or little deal?
I'm going to say it's a little deal because existing home sales are actually 90% of all home sales. So it's not a great macroeconomic indicator, but good news for flatbeds.
Michael Lewis confirmed FreightWaves 18 keynote speaker, big deal or little deal?
I'm going to say it's a big deal. His lifelong obsession with inefficient markets and the flow of information makes him a perfect speaker for the next FreightWaves event.
Goods trade deficit narrows again as export growth outstrips gains in imports. Big deal or little deal?
Little deal. There's been mixed signals on this recently. The deficit narrowed on economic contraction. Now it's narrowing on economic growth. It's mixed signals.
Jobs, auto freight, and crosshairs as Trump ramps up tariff talk. Big deal or little deal?
Big deal. Tariffs are a terrible idea. Air freight showing warning signs. Big deal or little deal?
Little deals, as they say, since we know that the volume of high value, low density goods shows it faster than other parts of goods spectrum. We continue to be long-term bullish about global air freight, and it also only is for a regional area.
Chicago's overheated on outbound and inbound turndowns. Big deal or little deal?
Big deal. I don't know how long this will last, but the fact that we're tracking the outlier movements in freight for both inbound and outbound, it's amazing. It's fun.
Biofuel industry thrilled with EPA support. Refiners not so much.
Little deal. Lots of fighting before the House, but overall the levels are going to remain the same for more or less through 2020.
FMCSA provides updates on ELD effectiveness. Big deal or little deal?
Big deal? Let's celebrate the flexibility of the FMCSA. They're doing what they can in a fragmented industry. Looking forward to their monthly infographic updates. And that'll do it for the big stories this week. As always, we go into more detail about each of the topics we've talked about today on our website, FreightWaves.com. We will continue to publish this podcast weekly, so be sure to subscribe to What the Truck on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, make sure to leave us a review to let us know what you think of our new podcast.
And if you're interested in freight economics and finance, come to our FreightWaves conference at the Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center in Grapevine, Texas this November. Visit marketwaves18.com to learn more about this event.
That'll do it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week on What the Truck.